the generations.
The thing that struck us most, of course, was seeing the children. What do you think? Do you think Michael would have wanted them there on television for the world to see?
Well, it wasn't really a question of whether he would have wanted them there or not. This was their father. This was a memorial for their father. And you must understand something. Michael's kids are highly intelligent.
Yeah.
They're very, very bright kids. And parents will let you know, I want to go. I want to see my daddy. I want to be there. And you can't say no to that.
True.
They wanted to go. They wanted to be there. And we let them do what they wanted to do. Because after all, you never want anyone to say that, you know, I want to see him, and they wouldn't allow me to see my father.
Right.
Even in the hospital, they were crying hysterically. Of course, the father wasn't there. And they asked the nurse if they could see him one more time, and my mother didn't want it. And the nurse says, no, it's totally okay. It'll give them closure. Mm. And so me and the kids went to see him one last time, and I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous, my whole body's just shaking.
Yeah.
One last time, and they were crying the entire time. They were on my mother's lap, all three of them, and just crying, just begging to see him one more time. And the minute we walked in that room to see him, and we all held hands, and we all prayed over him and told him how much we loved him, and we touched his face and his hands and his body, and we all kissed him and told him how we felt and what we liked most. And after that, the kids stopped crying, and they never cried again.
Do you think, Michael, do you think it's murder?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I said it in the beginning, and I believe it to this day. You must remember, Michael told me repeatedly that they were going to kill him.
Ik heb een hele belangrijke oproep. Word mijn vriend op Hives. Ik heb vrienden nodig. Ook belangrijk, volg me op Twitter. En je vindt me de hele dag op snafu.nl, de nummer 1 entertainment site van Nederland. Project, belangrijke oproep. Word mijn vriend op Hives. Ik heb vrienden nodig. Ook belangrijk, volg me op Twitter. En je vindt me de hele dag op snafu.nl, de nummer 1 entertainment site van Nederland.
How have you personally moved on from this? I mean, it's probably, you know, you're moving on slowly.
Well, it's kind of difficult, you know, in a sense. You say, how have you moved on? Because when you're there and you're putting all the elements together.
That's the thing now. That's the thing.
And you're putting everything together, and
because you're not at all happy with the findings so far, or you're not at all happy just closing it off and moving on with your life. You think you're convinced there's a story there that needs to be told.
Oh no, there is.
Yeah.
There absolutely is. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, laten we even kijken, want there's so many questions and we've put a few together, and we'd love to hear your comments on that. So, laten we even kijken.
Well, we're on our way there. If your guys doing CPR and you're instructed by a doctor, he has a higher authority than me, and he's there on scene.
Okay.
Did anybody witness what happened?
No, just the doctor, sir. The doctor's been the only one. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Call us back to DDM. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sinds Michaels overlijden gaat er geen dag voorbij zonder nieuws. Zijn dood gaat nog altijd gepaard met honderden vragen. En in bijna alle vragen komt steeds weer dezelfde naam terug. Die van Michaels lijfarts, Dr. Conrad Murray. Wie was deze man precies? En had hij eigenlijk wel het beste voor met Michael? En waarom hield hij vitale informatie achter voor andere artsen?
Okay, so the doctor see what happened?
Doctor, did you see what happened, sir? Sir, you just, if you can please...
we're on our way.
Murray gaf Michael de fatale cocktail van pijnstillers. En dan hebben we het niet over een aspirintje, maar over propofol, een heftig narcosemiddel, vergelijkbaar met chloroform. Al vanaf het eerste moment weet Toya dat dit geen ongelukje was.
was murdered.
It's murder. I think someone did it.
De vraag is waarom Michael zoveel pijnstillers kreeg. Wou hij dat echt zelf of had Dr. Murray andere redenen? Waarom belde Murray pas zo laat een ambulance en bleef hij zelf tegen beter weten in pogingen doen om Michael te reanimeren? En waarom verzweeg hij het middel propofol te noemen tegen de ambulancebroeders? Dit had Jacksons leven namelijk kunnen redden.
Because of all that is going on, I'm afraid to return phone calls or use my email. Therefore, I recorded this video to let all of you know that I have been receiving your messages.
Inmiddels is Murray aangeklaagd voor doodslag en wacht hem een beroepsverbod. De dokter beweert zelf onschuldig te zijn. Inmiddels is de voltallige familie Jackson ervan overtuigd dat Michaels leven is bepaald door een reeks medische missers. Bewust of onbewust, gemaakt door Dr. Conrad Murray.
It's funny, I mean, your face tells 1,000 stories. I mean, yeah, if you look at the footage from Michael, I mean, your face lights up, you know, your eyes become very happy. But when you just saw the picture of that doctor, Dr. Conrad Murray, I mean, your face told the opposite story. Do you think, Michael, do you think it's murder?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I said it in the beginning, and I believe it to this day. Absolutely. Absolutely. You must remember, Michael told me repeatedly that they were going to kill him, that he was going to die. And he would say that. And when I heard my mother scream, "He's dead," immediately I said, "Who did it?" I didn't say what for, what of, what happened, who did it? Because he repeatedly said that. And he not only told me, he told my mother as well,
yeah.
and she mentions it quite often too.
And who did it?
There's quite a few involved. The doctor that you're looking at, the doctor that you see there, was the fall guy. That's what he was. He was the fall guy.
And so there are people in the background?
There are people in the
pulling
background.
strings?
Yes, absolutely.
And is it mainly for business purposes or personal purposes?
No, strictly business.
Strictly business.
Strictly business.
It's people wanting to use Michael as a cash cow?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's horrible how sort of...
There's so much that the world doesn't know.
Yeah.
There's so much that's being covered up. There's so much that's being said. When you speak out, they divert everything.
Yeah.
And
it's also, it becomes so inhumane when there are people just in it for the profits, for the money.
Absolutely.
I mean, Michael doesn't become a person anymore. He becomes just a product type of thing.
just a product. And that's what he was when he was alive.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing to him alive. And that's when they knew he was worth more dead than alive. And that's what happened to my brother.
Okay. So he's worth more dead than alive.
They knew all of this. Yeah. They knew what they
Because
were
Michael
planning.
used to be, or that's just what I saw from the outside, he used to be quite a clever, smart businessman. I mean, he used to be in control, at least, you know, of his business empire. But that may have changed the past couple of years.
It's called control.
Yeah.
It's called control.
And he lost it.
It's absolutely. It's
or some people
dividing
took it.
and it's conquering and it's controlling.
Yeah.
His life is no different than what I went through with the ex-manager.
Yeah.
Michael, the difference is it was on a much larger scale.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Right.
That's the difference. He was totally being controlled, completely, as to what time you go to bed, when you wake up, what you do. You guys have no idea. He was totally being controlled. If you don't do this, then we're not going to do this, and you're not going to have this. He was being controlled the entire time.
And these people kept him drugged so that he wouldn't have anything to say about it, and he couldn't even say anything about it.
It's a very, very sad story.
He was basically helpless.
It's a sad story. It's a sad story.
And nobody could, because, I mean, you could say, I mean, why wasn't there nobody who did an intervention there? I mean,
no, there were many interventions.
But if the person himself cannot do it anymore,
exactly.
A person has to make the change himself.
If that person's in denial, but of course, nobody knew what it really was.
To the extent, yeah.
Yes, and then, of course, the people that surrounded themselves around him would keep the family away.
Yeah.
Always. Always. It was very difficult. They would keep the family away.
And are you trying to put the puzzle together? Are you working hard on this? I mean, you do your own investigation, like you just said.
It's very important. This is my brother. I think it's important to find out exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let it just pass by like most people are.
No.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to him. I don't think it's fair to his children and to the world.
But there is